like 50 to 60 million Americans own Bitcoin, according to some research. Yet there are so many people in the world who don't own any Bitcoin. Today, you can get 0.01 Bitcoin for $1,000. It used to be cheaper. How important is it for somebody to get off zero and accumulate that first 0.01?
Well, I think everybody that has a long-term capital plan, if you have a portfolio of assets, or if you have money that you don't need for 4 years, I think the reasonable thing to do is you want to have some portion of it in digital property, in digital capital. That's Bitcoin. And I think 1%, 2% is like an insurance policy. I mean, it's like it's not gonna you're buying an insurance policy so you won't be totally wrecked. 10, 20, 30% would be like a nice allocation, right? If you had a third of your assets in Magnificent Seven stocks or high quality companies, and if you had 20 or 30% in real estate or some kind of high quality collectibles, you want to figure out, what do you want to give to your grandkids? What do you want to retire on? Something scarce, desirable that you want to hold, that you think that someone wealthier than you, more sophisticated than you might want to buy from you 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. If you think about it like that, then I think Bitcoin definitely ought to be part of that portfolio. I mean, everybody's got to decide what percentage of their portfolio. But at this point, we've moved past the point where you would be thinking that the government's going to ban it or take away from you. You're just buying digital property.
So would you say there's almost nothing more important if you have zero Bitcoin than getting off zero and getting that first 0.01?
Look, if you're a mega billionaire, if you're Warren Buffett, I guess it's not really that important to him. But I think if you're middle class, like if you like money, if you want money, there's nothing more important. It's the future of money. Money, me defining money as long-term store of value. I mean, you're not going to get rich by holding currencies in your pocket. You ought to minimize the amount of currency you hold. But if you want to get rich, the time-tested way to get rich is levered long property. You buy scarce, desirable property, and that will preserve your wealth. The way you preserve your wealth is you buy scarce, desirable property. The way you get wealth, the way you create wealth, is you borrow the money from the bank to buy the property. So rich families, it's like, I'm going to buy $1 billion of real estate, but I don't have the billion. So I managed to figure out how to borrow 900 million. And then I went and I raised another 70 million in equity, and I got a 30% promote. And I ended up, when the dust settled, with 30% of $10 billion worth of real estate. And I made $3 billion because, I got highly levered. So I think finding a way to get scarce, desirable property and lever into it is how you get rich. If you want to stay rich, then you want to buy something that's going to appreciate faster than the monetary inflation rate after taxes. And that means that's why you can't store capital in bonds, because no bonds will give you more than the inflation rate after taxes. That means that your best bet is, you pick the next NVIDIA, but, good luck, right? It's like you got to pick one out of 500. Maybe you grab a, portfolio of Mag 7 stocks and maybe you can beat. But otherwise, if you're not going to do that, then Bitcoin is the best idea. Look, I think Bitcoin is plus 60% a year for the past 4 years. The S&P is plus 5%. The Mag 7 is like plus 25 to 30%. This is not complicated rocket science. The monetary inflation rate, it feels like it's 10% to me. So, you know, should you, if you don't care about money, then I guess it doesn't matter. But if you care about money, if you want more or you want to keep the money you have, the hurdle rate, for practical purposes is 10%. And the conventional approach is you buy S&P 500 index and you beat it by a little bit. And then real estate's not that good, because with real estate, you're probably growing less than the 15% and you're getting property tax. And the property tax is a killer for you over time.
Any advice for people entering Bitcoin today?
You know, my advice for people is Bitcoin's digital capital. It's, you know, in 100,000 years, we finally came up with perfect money. Every economist that ever wrote on the topic for, you know, thousands of years, they never had it. Satoshi created it, brought it to life, January 3rd, 2009. It took us 15 years to figure out whether it was going to work. Now it looks like it's working. You will work 100,000 hours in your life as a student and as a laborer to make money. Given the fact that you're looking at 50 years of hard labor as a student and as a laborer, and given 2,000 hours a year and the 100,000 hours, I would say a rational thing to do is invest 100 hours to figure out how to keep your money, right? You're going to invest 100,000 hours in making it, spend 100 hours figure out how to keep it. If you don't understand what Bitcoin is, if you don't understand why it's better than seashells or buying NASDAQ stocks, or why it's better than investing in bonds or currencies or real estate or random artwork, if you don't get it, if you're afraid of it, don't put your money in it because I say you should. Put 100 hours into it. You know, you put 100,000 hours and, you know, trying to actually make money, and you'll probably die poor or die without any if you don't ever figure out money, because the system is constructed to take all your money away from you unless you get really smart about economics. So what I ask for people is, you know, put the time in, spend 100 hours. I mean, you probably spent that much trying to figure out how to pitch a baseball or drive an automobile, right? I mean, nothing done or nothing meaningful is achieved in life without a 4-year commitment, a 1-year commitment, a 100-hour commitment. And so I'm not telling you how to live the rest of your life. I'm just saying that the part of your life which needs money, that's worth 100 hours. So look at it. You know, you can go to hope.com. You can go on Twitter. You can just go start Googling stuff. You can go on YouTube and then come to your own decision. And maybe you'll come up with a better idea. But, you know, Bitcoin is the idea that $2 trillion worth of smart money capital has decided upon after a vigorous, bitter debate for 15 years. 15 years of a lot of very smart people going back and forth through the block size wars, going through the crazy years of the last 4 years. A lot of people, you know, are just like you. I mean, what's the human condition? We want money. We want to keep the money. We don't want someone to take the money away from us. Bitcoin is just a crypto network for people that would like to keep their money, right? Preserve their capital. As for everything else, I have no learned opinion on everything else. There's 100,000 pieces of art you might buy, 100,000 companies you could invest in, 100,000 business opportunities for you to consider, 100,000 pieces of real estate that you might invest in. There are other experts on that. Perhaps you're the expert. If you're the expert, you know you're the expert, you should do your thing. If you're the world's greatest podcaster, you should do your thing. If you're a musician, do your thing. If you're a football player, do your thing. That's all great. The thing that Satoshi created was a way for you to keep your money. The more people that learn about it, the more of us get to keep our money. And every single time an intelligent person joins the network, they make the network that much more secure, that much more powerful. They de-risk it for everybody else, right? And so join the team. It's a good team. Our objectives are to make you live, you know, happily forever after, and hopefully make you wealthy enough that your kids are wealthy. That's the goal, right? And you can help it. All you got to do is figure it out, join the network. Once you've joined the network, contribute to the network. How do you do that? Buy the Bitcoin. That's the number one way. Like, don't talk about it, buy it. But then after that, yeah, you can educate people on it. You can secure it. You can run a node. You can create it, you know, a Bitcoin application. You can capitalize your company on Bitcoin. You can move your, you know, your state, your city, your government, your institution, your family to Bitcoin. Those are all things, but you know, don't do it for them. Don't even do it for me. Do it for yourself. And if you have a better idea, then that's okay. You do your better thing. None of my business. Thank you for your time.
If you're interested in making money with crypto, click subscribe for a daily video keeping you informed. And like always, see you tomorrow.